you're doing. So welcome, and let's just dive right in.
Thank
Kind of
you.
tell us a little bit about yourself, like your journey in terms of the film festival or whatever. Oh,
Yeah. So I moved to Austin back in 2016, and started out just volunteering. I was a I was an English major in college and wrote some screenplays myself. So moved to Austin with the intent to get into the film industry, and so yeah, started out volunteering in 2016, and then I just kind of worked my way up from there. Did some contract roles here and there, and then just really fell in love with the mission. Just being a writer myself, it just kind of really fit, and I got along well with all the people here, and so it just made sense to keep going. And so last year I was the project manager, handled a lot of the back end systems and that kind of thing, and that was fun. But whenever the opportunity came up to do the screenplay competition, that was just like a dream come true. So
nice.
so yeah, it just was. It's a great organization, and I really enjoy working here. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, and I mean, I get the vibe. The vibe is so great, and I get the feeling that people that work there are, have their head and their heart in the right place. Seems like.
Yeah, it's it can be challenging, just being a nonprofit and that kind of thing, but it's fun. It's a very close group of people, and a lot of us have been working together for a few years now, and it's a really close-knit team, so it feels like a family for sure.
Nice. Well, I know we have, I think I noticed in the chat, we have Paula, Wave Paula. She's read last year, and Joy,
Okay.
whose camera isn't on right now, but you can see has read. And then Alan, he's the one that got this whole ball rolling. So Alan, everybody's like, I know about Alan. Alan was the very first person to ever enroll in our program. So the poor guy, I can't mention Alan without saying that. But then he was the first one to say, hey, I read for the Austin Film Festival if you guys want to get information about it. So he kind of got the ball rolling on getting people there. He's what I call a maverick. Like he totally trailblazes. So
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, so he's been doing it for a while. Yeah, so I know that they're all kind of talking right now, and so like Robin saying her name's been sent as recommendation, haven't heard anything yet. So they're all kind of in the process of figuring out who to recommend, and we have a Facebook group where they all chat with each other about it.
Awesome. So, yeah, that's great.
Yeah, so we've had more people join, and hey, Scotland and Denise and Mary and Kate and Jane and Marta. Woohoo! So,
I'm discovering more people. I didn't realize if I click the arrow, there's so many more. Hello, everyone.
Yes, they're continuing to flock in. So it's great. So this and most everybody is here. We just we close and we have enrollment closed most of the time so that we can focus on our students. But every great once in a while we open it up, we let in new students, and we just did that. So we have a few people that are pretty brand new. They've only been here for a couple of weeks, and then we have our tried and trues that have been around for a while. So that's what we have. You'll never run out of readers, as Alan says.
That's great. Yeah.
So true. Yeah, we keep going and going. So why don't you tell us a little bit about the process of how you guys look for readers, and what's the process, or maybe why don't we start with the competition so they can kind of know about the process of the competition, and then let's move into the process of the reading so they can get a kind of a bird's eye view of how it all works, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. So with the competition, it's the festival has been around since 1994, so we have when I just stepped into this role, it was amazing to see just the base of readers that we've had over the years. So we first, in the beginning of the year, we start reaching out to that base, just checking in with everyone to see, whether they want to continue and read for this year. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of, follow up with them over and over, which sounds like some of y'all are in that list as well. And then get them onboarded. If someone has read in the past, it's a little it's a faster process where they just basically assuming we're still all on good standing, it's just basically an agreement form that's filled out and then returned, and then we move forward from there. And then, for new readers, we do a lot of outreach. Right now, we've been reaching out to some MFA programs, and, you know, obviously recommendations, like those are huge. And so that's kind of what we, you know, we'll sometimes like hit up our list and say, hey, like, do you have any like recommendations that way? But it's really grassroots. I mean, it's, you know, it's a matter of just kind of breaking down. We have a lot of writers groups that we reach out to. We have a large list there, and we just kind of like follow up with them, and check in to see if they have anyone that is interested in reading. So yeah, it's really just kind of, you know, different stages throughout the year for sure. We're always recruiting, so it's you know, it's something, you know, last year I think we had around like 500 readers, and assuming we continue to grow, you know, it'd be nice to have like, you know, 550 or 600. So
yeah, an army, a virtual army. How many submissions do you get typically?
Last year we got close to 12,000 screenplay submissions, and that number has been growing pretty quickly, which is good, but it's also, you know, it can be scary. You know, it's like, okay, we got to get all this reading done, but you know, that's what, you know, readers are for, and it's a great time, you know, working so far. You know, just being in the role for 2 months, it's been fun, like interacting with all of them, and yeah, so yeah, real excited to be on this.
Totally. And when are the screenplay competition deadlines for people submitting?
Yeah, so our early deadline is March 27th. Regular deadline is April 17th, and final deadline is May 15th.
And then the festival's in the last week of October, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that makes, so I see you guys asking questions, and don't worry, we'll get to your questions at the end, and we'll probably cover everything before, you know, we'll probably answer them, and then we'll make sure that you get your questions in there. So, wow. So what is so that's your kind of process of finding people. And then once you, like, let's say someone's recommended, what is your next step after that? After someone says, like one of our readers say, hey, I'm recommending this person, then how does the process work? The onboarding process, I guess.
Yeah, so we would send them an email, just say like, hey, we know you're recommended to read, and we'll send them a reader test, which is just basically, we send a link that has basically a list of like 4 or 5 different scripts, where they can download them, and they'll just evaluate 2 of them based on just a template that we send, and that kind of breaks down where they're evaluating, you know, like the concept, the plot, the structure, characters, dialogue, and then like overall notes. It is basically the exact process we use for like the competition.
Sure.
So it's just kind of like a, you know, it's just a test. So we send that along. Once that's complete, we'll evaluate the test and then get back to them about potential next steps. And you know, after that, assuming all of the notes were good, we'll usually give like them feedback on like kind of like what we're, you know, looking for in comparison to what they had put in the test.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll you know, move forward from there. That would be kind of like where we would send like the agreement form, and then in the agreement form they would you know, of course, sign and look at all the guidelines and all that, and then they would in the form there's like preferences of like what genres they would like to read for, that sort of thing.
That's a question I get a lot. Like,
oh yeah, really?
Genre, yeah. Oh yeah, it's a big concern for people that don't like a certain genre.
Oh yeah.
And
I mean, yeah, if you're not a fan of horror, like,
yeah, horror is always the one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's yeah, and it's interesting because for me, it's, you know, I'm not a big Harry Potter that kind of genre, but we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but it's one of the things that I always try to stress is that in these competitions, and even when you're reading for studios, they really do want the reader to want to read the script. They want to find the genre that you like. They're trying to get the script through. Like, we're not trying to keep it out. That's your job, is to weed them out, you know, and kind of move them up through the funnel. But the job is not like, the job is pushing it forward. So they really do try to match, right? Because you're not trying to like make someone read a horror script that's just not going to like it because it's a horror script. That would be so counterintuitive to the whole process. And one of the things I want to keep kind of reiterating for our readers here, so that you can as you guys read for this festival too, that this can be your vernacular. is that concept of wanting to help a writer and how much a contest can help a writer. It really can. And so, and I really feel like contests like, especially like this one, where, as you can see, super sincere, super, you know, like putting it out there and really trying to help writers. And that's what we're about here in Hollywood Gatekeepers and Screenreaders. So it's like really trying to bring that home for you guys, that that's kind of how it works. And this is universally what I've seen in my career as a reader, with all of the people that do well, and all the readers that do well, they come from this place, and all of the festivals and contests and production companies that do well come from this place. So I just want to, it's so nice to see an example of it.
Well, that's yeah, it's very kind. Yeah, it is. I mean, like, you know, it's it is matching, you know, matching that love, you know, for like a specific genre or something is really huge. And I mean, you know, really the big thing is like, you know, if you're a writer yourself, it's also just reading is it's a great opportunity. You know, reading for competitions is a great opportunity to hone your craft. And just because you see so much, I mean, I'm experiencing it myself, you know, it's like you're seeing so much content, and it's like the current content that's being written, you know. Yeah, and then, you know, just reading, you know, yeah, like to your point of like, you know, wanting to push, you know, writers' careers along, like that's, you know, what we're all about. And as a reader, that's like, you know, ideally that aligns, you know, with what you're looking to do. But I think it's you know, they both are run in parallel. If you want to be a writer, it helps to read, and also if you really push someone's career, it's like, of course. So
yeah, absolutely. And do you give the writers the notes after? Do they get their notes for the content?
yeah.
They get them. So that's something to always remember. And I mean, we teach to the idea that that they're going to get your notes. Just always write from that perspective. And then you never have to worry about whether or not. And I tell a story about when I was very first starting and I was reading for an agent, and he said, just write like 3 or 4 words, like literal words, like that it was wonderful or crappy or whatever on the back. So I was writing on the back of the screenplay, lame, trite, silly, you know, things like that. And then after doing this for months, I was finally like, what do you do with those? And he goes, oh, I send them back to the writer. I was just like,
so unhelpful.
so mortified. And so that was like, from then on, I'm like, it doesn't matter, even if they say they don't, especially now in the way, you know, we can find coverage from years and years and years ago. You know, it's like your work gets out there digitally and it stays out there. So it's like, you know, operate from integrity. And that was such a good, terrible, great lesson. So definitely we want you guys to, you know, start from that thing.
Yeah.
So when you are, so we actually, as people go through this course, they end up with 2 sample coverages that they use. So when are you waiting to, I don't even know how to ask this. So when people are submitting and wanting to be readers, do you speak ahead of time of the things that you expect, or are you wanting to see what they bring and then give them, you know, feedback? Like, can we speak to what you would expect from them if they do get hired? Or would you rather that you wait on that until after they've kind of gone through the process a little bit? Does that make, am I asking that?
Yeah, it does. You're talking about readers whenever they like.
Yeah, as they go through your process to become a reader, because you had said, then we tell them kind of the things that we're looking for. And if you're comfortable speaking to that ahead of time, it kind of helps me be able to get them ready for you before they even come in the door. Unless that's something that you want to do as part of your training. You know what I mean? I don't want to make
right. I mean, it's, you know, it's kind of in the it's in the guidelines, like it like basically breaks down like what we're looking for. In the test, there are, you know, I'm pretty sure there's a few like just kind of general notes of like, you know, kind of what we're looking for, but it is kind of after you know, everything is all been submitted. So that, we can kind of evaluate just them on a, you know, just where they're coming from, you know.
Totally.
And, you know, we can offer some feedback on what we're expecting.
So is this making sense to you guys? Or, you know, let us know in the chat and give us some thumbs up, and if it's all kind of, okay, looks like, cool. Were you going to say something else about that? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, that's, that's pretty much it,
Good, lots of thumbs ups, sounds very clear. Awesome. So, and then in terms of the other big questions, the big questions I get are, you know, I hate that genre, and then how many scripts am I expected to read? So how does that break down in terms of what the turnaround time is, or how many scripts they get, or that kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's really it's really up to them. They can whenever they first fill out the agreement form, there's a question in there that asks like how many scripts you'd like per 2 weeks, which is kind of our deadline whenever you check out script.
Mhm.
Um, so that can range from 1 script for every 2 weeks, or like 10, 15 scripts every 2 weeks. It really is up to them. And our incentives are, over the long haul, our incentives are kind of based on badge compensation. So
Good.
it's it breaks down to like a point system. The details right now are blanking, but basically it's just like for a feature script you get X number of points. For a pilot you get X number of points, which is a little less than a feature script because it's shorter. And those points add up to be like equal a badge. So then you would be able to attend the festival and like get the experience of attending the panels and all of that, which is all useful for seeing all the back end of the writers
Mhm.
and what all goes on in that world. So yeah, that's kind of how it breaks down. Yeah.
And so, for you guys that are considering it, it's such a great way to go to the festival. So you're going to the festival as someone who's really involved, as someone who like kind of, up here, as opposed to just someone coming to the festival. So it's such a great opportunity. And it really is how I launched my reader career. And then, I ended up doing script doctoring and writing all kinds of things, starting at a festival, starting at a conference. And so there's writing
Okay.
panels at this conference. And what kind of writing panels and things do you have at the conference?
Oh, it ranges widely. It's anywhere from writing, taking feedback and notes, and then all the way up
Mhm.
to, like podcasting. Like it really ranges. Landing a manager. I'm just trying to think of them. It's honestly like when I first like saw the program book, uh, when I first like volunteered, I was like overwhelmed of like how many things are going on. You really have to like plan out your weekend, like figuring out what you want to go to, what you don't want to go to, because a lot of things overlap. uh,
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think I told you yesterday, and so I see Paula and Joy are here, and then I don't see Sean, like, and then Mickey. Sorry, more people are coming in now. I'm losing track of everybody. Hey, Monica and George and Betsy, nice to see you, and Shree, yay, and Jana and Joanne, um, and Randy. Oh goodness. We had like they all just got together like a bunch of college kids and got an Airbnb and like came to the festival. And so and then they
Oh,
talked about
awesome.
how they did like a okay, you go see this, I'll be tag team kind of thing. And because I know they had a couple of badges, they had read enough to get a couple of badges. And so yeah, and then they ended up, I don't see Sean here, but she's actually she was in pre-production at the time, so they ended up shooting her trailer while they were there. So here are people that didn't know each other from all over the United States, like came together and suddenly worked on a film. So because of
Oh, that's
your
awesome.
festival,
Wow.
that's because of your festival, which is such a great story and such a cool thing of, we brought them together in terms of meeting each other, but then you brought them together in terms of actually going to a festival, actually making things happen. And we love that story. We love that it really was, some of them were getting out of their comfort zone in a major way. And it's just, I absolutely love it.
That's great. Yeah, I mean it really is like it feels that way, whenever you're there. Like there's so many people just talking like in the Driscoll and
Hmm.
all around. Like it's really like the whole festival is really just a big conversation
Totally,
and
totally.
people meeting each other. So it is, if you haven't been, it's really thrilling, and a lot of useful content that you'll find.
I've been, it's just been a while. So I think it's time to go back for sure. And it's a great city as well. It's just a really cool experience in general. And do you have someone, a story editor or someone are you the person that actually delves out the scripts, or I'm assuming you have a story editor?
So we have built like a pre-built software system that we use. Our IT guy made it. That's kind of specifically tailored for this. Um,
That's cool.
and yeah, it's fun. Sometimes, except when it breaks, of course, that happens sometimes. Um, we yeah. So I'll distribute them sometimes. It really depends. I have right now we're hiring a script competitions manager, because Gabby just recently left. But usually they take on like the back end processes, and they'll be really the person that's really in contact with all the readers for the most part. But that said, yeah, I mean, pretty much myself and them will be involved in distributing the scripts. It just kind of depends on when, what's going on and that sort of thing.
Nice. And then you, someone mentioned there's rounds of reading. So there's how many rounds do you have of like, and then, well, two questions is like rounds of reading, and then is every script read by one reader, or do you have a process of how many readers read a single script? Or I know in some competitions they more than one reads, or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah. So it is more than one reader reads each script. They have all of the scripts will have to be read twice. So it kind of, I guess I can kind of go through like the life of a script.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great. That's
So
awesome.
it's submitted, and then it's uploaded to the system, and it's distributed to a reader. And basically the reader will have like a login, and they can that's where they'll access like all the scripts. And once we assign the script to them, it'll show like in their queue, and they can download the script via like PDF. So once they read that, they'll upload their notes into the same system, and then from that point, if it's a yes, it will go on to a second round reader. So I guess I should touch on that. There's two levels of readers. We have first round readers and second round readers. And then it gets into judges, but those are like selected people. And then, so the first round readers, of course, take on, pretty much any script that's first submitted. And then they give it either a yes or a no. If it's a yes, it goes on to the second round reader, where they'll either say yes or no. If it's a no, then it will go to another reader, where they'll basically they have the opportunity to read up to 10 pages. They can read past that if it's like really good, and continue reading it and flip the no into a yes, and then it would proceed to the second round. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and so it's the incentive to read the no scripts is like we basically require everyone who's a reader to read 50 no scripts on top of whatever they're reading already. So that I guess it's not really an incentive, but it's just a requirement. Yeah. And that's to give them the due diligence of like because if maybe one reader might have a slight bias on it or something like that, and then that just kind of make sure that there's nothing.
Right. I've had it not very often, but I've had a few instances, mostly with contests, where I've read a screenplay and I've been like, I would pass on this, but I think I might be missing something. Like this didn't speak to me, but I have a feeling, especially if it was sci-fi, because I'm not very smart. So it was like, even if it just kind of felt like it went over my head, like there might be a deeper message that I'm missing or whatever. I would always give it back with like, I'm sorry, but I can't rate this one, or or if I recognize it, which actually happened more often because I read it somewhere else. So it's like, and you guys should do that too. Like everyone wants you to be in integrity. So if you find a script for sure that or the person, or you've seen the script somewhere before, or you read it last year. Well, not so much if you read it last year. If you read it in a same kind of environment, then you might be okay. But if you feel like you'll have any bias whatsoever, just give it back and start on the next one. Just really, it's super important.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do encourage that, and like also if it's like, I don't know, if there's like some kind of also if you just feel like you would not, like if it's feels offensive or like you had some kind of trauma and it really like is too much or something like that, always encourage returning it, and we'll happily like give you another script.
Yeah, there's plenty. There's plenty to go around.
Yeah, there are. Yeah.
You can drop one the other 12,000 scripts.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll just throw you another one. Yeah.
So don't suffer. You guys don't suffer your way through it. That's not good for you. It's not good for the writer. It's not good for the contest. Just give it back. If you find like, right in the first page, you're completely offended by it. Like, you're not the guy for that. There will be someone who won't be offended by it. So everybody's a little bit different. Right. Definitely. Yeah. For sure. So someone's asking, how long after we submit a test does it take to get a decision?
Yeah, so it should be within a week. That's what we were shooting for. Right now we're, as I said, Gabby has left, so it's just me at the moment. But right now that timeline is a little bit extended, but it should be within like a week, ideally. Yeah.
And then someone's asked, what percentages are yes? So that's a good question. So how many kind of move on to the top rounds? Like what is the levels of them moving on?
Yeah. So if a script gets, so the second round is basically, if it gets 2 yeses, then it moves on to the second round. And that's the top 20% of all the scripts that are submitted usually.
Mm-hmm.
And then the semifinalist is the top, I want to say it's either 10 or 5%. It's and then it just goes down from there. And then finalists, I think, is top 1%.
So I mean, it's still a lot of scripts. I mean, there's still a lot of people that move on. And when someone, if you are a writer and you get to that level, it's like you can use that as your, when you're getting agent, manager, lawyer, whatever, like you made it to this round. It's important. So as you can see, like
Totally.
There's a lot of people that get cut off, so it's great, but there's also a lot of people that get in. So, so I mean, I'm such an advocate of contests. I really think that if you use it correctly, some people tend to go, oh, contest, but I really think it's how you use the, what happened, either the feedback, if it didn't make it, or how you market yourself if it does. Like, it's so important.
Totally,
so,
yeah.
Super. So yeah, Ed's saying it's another reason why your first 10 pages really need to grab the audience, right? Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. So everyone starts as a first round reader and then second round is by invite. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Cool. Actually, they're answering the questions. We're like, you're here, they got it.
We can just sidebar on something else.
Sign off. They seem to have it covered, which I absolutely love that about them. In our Facebook group, I'll see a question come up and I'll be like, oh, and then before I can even respond, they're like, shh, we got this. It's awesome.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a special panel if you get to the second round. Oh, that's nice. That's true. You have oh, that's really, you guys are great, man. The more I hear about it, the better it gets. Wait to hear about. Awesome. And of course, even more perks for semifinalists, of course. And then it's what you make out of it even above that. So awesome. Do you guys have any other questions? Did we get to all your questions? Let me know in the chat if there's anything that we missed. I think we got it all. So if they do want to submit, they should just have one of our readers that already is reading recommend them. Would that be the best way?
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. If you already have a reader that's reading for us, that would be the best way to go about it. Yeah.
Okay. And when will the reading start?
It has already begun.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, and then is there a posting for Gabby's job opening? They're on it.
Yeah. Someone wants to move to Austin. Yeah. It was open, but we actually just hired someone today.
Because now they're all getting behind her, like, yeah, you need to hire Paula. But you know what? It's nonprofit. So in the world of nonprofit, things move around a lot. So just keep volunteering, and there's always opportunities.
Totally, yeah, 100%.
And obviously this festival is huge, and there's so much going on. And you have a podcast contest too, right? Of people reading live. Yeah, it's so cool and different. And so there's all kinds of new innovative things that are happening. So just keep watching it. And I'm sure there'll be stuff. It's so great.
We're thinking about potentially moving into like the gaming world too. I know we were discussing that. Nothing official, of course, but potentially on the horizon.
Really? Oh, Ed's saying Tribeca just did that. That they got into the gaming thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Hoppers.
That makes sense. They're on top of it for sure.
Yeah, they're one of the majors. So it's like, but I'm just super impressed with everything that I've been seeing, and already I was impressed with just the response, and it's probably good for you to hear that the readers were coming back saying how great it was, what a great experience they were having, and reading for a year and then recommending someone. I mean, that's the best, thing that you could ask, is that if someone reads for you and then recommends it to someone the following year,
Oh yeah.
you've got it going on. It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Well, and yeah, I mean, readers are so important, to the process. Like it's, we're very grateful for their help. So it's.
So what's the latest one? Oh, I think for how long you're always recruiting, right? Like they're saying, how long will you be recruiting? I'm trying to translate.
Yeah. So we recruit all the way through, I'm pretty sure, around June, because our first round deadline for all, like, everything needs to be read once is July. I'm pretty sure it's July 23rd. So there is a deadline to like bring on new readers, and it's around June. But if you're interested in joining but like aren't able to commit right now, down the road 100%, just reach out and we can set something up, all the way up until about I would say June. Yeah.
Awesome. And then how often do you have problematic notes from a reader? I think I've only seen one or two that were overly negative. Not from us. Drilling that in.
Yeah. Wait, so I'm gonna reread the question.
Yeah. So it's Alan there. You see him, he's a little bit up.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that happens occasionally, but it's not very often. In that case, it is, we would, if they are overly negative, like we do audits every once in a while to just assess, notes from readers to make sure that, that they're, in line with kind of what we're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
If they do submit, if there is a reader that submits notes that are just like overly negative, we would, give them feedback on, just kind of, maybe toning it down a notch, something like that. Just kind of letting them know like this is a little too much.
Right.
And in that case, we would continue to read their notes until it got better.
And if you find that someone got overly negative, do you get the script back into someone else's hands, or give it a kind of another shot or chance if you think it's
we would send that to a different reader to make sure there was no bias.
Right. We have a no snark policy too. No snark.
That's a good policy. Yeah.
Snark
is yeah, I mean, especially I'm sure a lot of y'all are writers. As a writer, it sucks when you're giving out your baby to the world and then just someone just really tears it open,
in a snarky way, like what the heck? Like,
yeah.
Out of place. Yeah, absolutely. And we also train to do all the positive comments first. I'm not sure how your formatting is, but in our samples or whatever, because we feel that when you compliment a writer, they'll relax and they'll open up and they'll hear you more if you compliment them, and then you can give them feedback. And if you treat them the same, all the good things and all the bad things, like here's the things that work, then it just becomes feedback and it doesn't become judgment. And so it's like the more you can compliment and like give them, because there's always something you can find that works. So it's like trying to open them up to the compliments and then feed them the things.
Yeah.
And that seems to work with people that we've been working with.
100%.
So yeah, someone said, my advice, pace yourself. That's Joanne. She's our first graduate from our course, and she's been reading for you for a while, I think, right, Joanne?
Awesome.
So awesome. Yeah. Ask yourself how you'd like to hear it, right? What advice do you have for a first-time reader, both in terms of the application process and also the actual reading process? Here's a small question.
Yeah. That's a broad question.
Yeah. I kind of feel like we sort of answered that already, in terms of if you just go back and we'll have this in the Facebook group, so you guys should watch it, especially if you're going to apply. I would take notes, watch it, apply it to what you already know as a reader. And it seems like just following all of the things that he's already said about applying, and just, being positive in your coverage and being thorough in your coverage, all the things that we talk about. We start talking about that right out the gate in phase 1, and we'll talk about it in here as well. So does that make sense? And do you have anything you want to add to that, Sage?
Yeah, I think, also what we touched on were like, coming at it with kind of, what you've been taught and that sort of thing, just kind of how you approach it is, we're definitely looking for, but, like it is a case-by-case basis, like just how we evaluate like the test. So, you know, I guess that's just kind of the process. Yeah.
Yeah. And every place is a little bit different. This sounds like a pretty, I don't want to say common because it's not common, but a really thorough process. And so the places that you want to read will have a process like this, where they don't talk too much about the process ahead of time because they want to see what you're going to bring to the process. And then they go, okay, this way, move that way, because everybody's a little bit different. So you don't want to say we do this because you might miss someone that does it this way, but it's still good. So
yeah,
there's a lot of
yeah.
leeway.
Yeah, I will say, I mean, there, you know, just, you know, touching on that, like it is, you know, with AFF, it's very much a storytelling focused festival. So we are, you know, that there are, you know, festivals that do a lot of experimental films and that sort of, we're not really that. So I will say, like, if you are coming at, you know, a script, you know, we are definitely storytelling focused, which is something that is like, you know, we have it all over our website. It's definitely a big thing that we advocate for. And
it's something that, to me, that's where the reader should be living anyway, always, from the story. You've got producers that will go from the marketing and budgeting and all that stuff. Your job as a reader is stick to the story. So, and then Paul is saying, listen to the podcast. Absolutely. That's a way. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. And yeah, I'm sure you have your templates that you give them and all of that too. Yeah. Is there anything, you guys have anything else? And is there anything that you'd like to add to this whole process? And, you know, anything that you'd like to end with or whatever? I so appreciate you coming on and so much better from you than just, you know, from me. Well, no,
I mean, thank you for having me. Like, it's really great to be on here. And yeah, no, I mean, you know, like I said, like we are recruiting readers and at the moment, so definitely please apply and you know, look forward to reading your tests and that sort of thing. So thank you.
Alan is saying, I've seen what a semi-finalist scripts look like, but would love to see an example of a finalist. That's kind of an interesting idea to get. Are the scripts that do make it to the very end, are they available for them to kind of look at later?
Yeah, so you know, the scripts are still owned by the writers, so it's really up to them. We don't, you know, distribute the scripts after, even like to like producers or anything like that. The producers would have to reach out to them to ask them for it.
Yeah.
But that said, like in the test, there are some scripts that went through the or were a winner or a finalist.
Oh, gotcha.
So you would see an example of one of those. Yeah, so.
And just, you guys, I have read on the judge level, you know, and have read on the level where, you know, I can make something happen. And they really do, judges that from festivals like this one that are really serious, they get judges that can actually make something happen with the screenplay. And so there was often times when I would reach out to the writer of the screenplay that had made it into a finalist to ask for it, to send it on to someone. And it really did like open some doors for people. So they really are looking, they really are sincere, and they really are reading from a place of, is this something that I can make or know someone that might make? They're not even necessarily, you know, they'll pass it along to someone else if it's not right for them. So just, just want to throw that out there because it's absolutely true. Can you submit as a writer and be a reader?
Yes. Good question. Yeah, you can. It just, you would be disqualified from that specific category that you would submit. So if you submitted to a drama feature, then you could read any other category, but just not drama feature.
It's a great way to handle it. Nicely done. Awesome. Well, thank you again. It's been so lovely to meet you, and just like, it's so exciting to have you here. And yeah, well, so we'll keep on keeping on, and I'll send this to you if you want to use it for any reason. And
cool. Well, thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. It was fun. So thank you.
It's totally great. Super exciting. And good luck with the festival. Good luck with your first year of juggling your new plate spinning job that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of plates.
Yeah, definitely a lot of plates, but I can totally tell that you're going to be able to handle it beautifully. Totally. So
well, thank
you so much.
You. Yeah.
So we're going to talk about Screenplay. Right. You're welcome to stay. We're going to talk about coverages a little bit since we do have a little bit of time, or you know,
cool.
It's up to you, whatever you like.
Yeah. So, yeah. You know what?
You have a lot to do.
Yeah, I can hang out for a little little bit. I do have to run in probably like 10 minutes, but I could do 10 minutes.
Well,
Does that work?
I don't want to, do you guys have anything else you want him to talk about? I don't want to,
Yeah. Any more questions?
if you have anything that you want to talk to him about, if he's got a little more time, then
yeah,
let us know. I was gonna talk about homework. Homework.
sounds giving me nightmares.
Totally. So basically I was going to talk about how you need to have your grid match your comments. So do you have a grid in your template? Good, fair, bad, poor?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm seeing some coverages come in where the grids are saying fair, 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 and then the coverage is awesome. Or the grid says, oh, this is great, and then the coverage is like not so good. So you guys need to make sure they match. Whatever you say,
right.
The coverage needs to match that. Their homework is fun. Yay, homework. Well, how many scripts, I don't know if you know that from the top of your head, how many scripts for different badges? Would you know that from the top of your head?
Oh, yeah, so it's kind of weird because it's based on a point system. So it like, I know just off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure it's 57 points, which probably means nothing to anyone. 57 points equals a producer's badge.
Sounds doable.
Wait, I think I have, hold on, I think I have let me see if I can pull, oh, here we go. I have the points. So yeah, features are equal 1 point. So basically that would be, if you read 57 features, you would get a producer's badge. Of course, on top of the 50 no scripts also.
Right.
Yeah, and then it just kind of goes down from there.
And is there a minimum amount of scripts you'd like a reader to complete?
I mean, it's really up to y'all. I mean, of course, like the more the better. But it's really based on, your schedule and what you can handle and that sort of thing.
Yes, Roblin did the math. 107 scripts, 50 being no scripts. Nicely
done. There you go. That's it. Yeah.
But even a small amount gets a film fest screening pass, is what Alan is saying. So
yes. Yeah. For film passes, it looks like.
Wow, only 57, says Kate. That's one of our readers.
Oh no, I see.
Okay. For more than that, that's good.
Okay, yeah. So for a film pass, it only takes 5 points.
Wow.
Plus 50 no's. Yeah.
Oh, gotcha. So
I can just lay it out real quick. The Lone Star badge is the next level up, which gets you 1 day into the conference plus all the films, is 15 points and 50 no's. The weekend badge, which gets you 2 days during the conference, is 25 points and 50 no's. Conference is 40 points, 50 no's. And actually, producer's badge is 55 points and 50 no's. So,
yeah. You guys can do that. You guys can do that in your sleep.
Easy.
Just, yeah. And Joanne, who has read for a while, saying, make sure that you do not take more than you can handle. You have 2 weeks to complete your batch. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Rick, so last year we had a reader that read twice as many as needed for the producer's batch.
Oh, nice.
He's not here tonight, he's working, but yeah, he's a writer as well. The 15 no's, Valika, are just, well, you want to explain, you can explain better than I can. Can you read 50 no's?
Yeah, so the 50 no's is just, after the first round, if a script is given a no, then we just want to make sure that another reader reads it just to make sure there's no like bias there, or they might have just missed something.
Sorry.
Readers required to read 50 no scripts, but the requirement is just to read up to page 10, and if you still think like there's no this isn't going anywhere, then you can just go ahead and give it a no. But of course, like if you're like, wow, this is actually really good, I don't know why they gave it a no, then like keep reading all the way to the end, and there's a potential to you give it a yes, and then it would basically flip it, and then it would be sent to a second round reader to read.
It's great because it's a safeguard to make sure that the no wasn't because someone just didn't resonate with it. That it was actually, and you can tell no's pretty quickly usually. If they can't, I mean, I kind of like to read the whole thing because I want to make sure that maybe they just have a hard time with openings. So I mean, and I always read the whole thing, but in this case, someone has already read it, so it's not like no one's read it yet.
Right. Yeah.
So But Alan said, I think I've only flipped a couple, but at least you flipped some. I'm always like rooting for you.
Yeah, they're definitely rare. They're very rare. I think there was one script in the whole entire competition that actually won, and it was originally given a no.
Wow, that's a great
Pretty
story.
crazy, yeah. The underdog story, yeah.
Such a good, that's a total underdog story. And
Yeah.
why it's so important, you guys, to like make sure that you resonate and make sure that it's not just that you're not resonating with it because it offends you on some level, or you're
Totally.
putting your own bias in there. You got to make sure you keep your bias out. There's no place for that here. So definitely, yeah. Yeah, there's all kinds of stories about studios passing on big scripts and kind of, but that's
Yeah.
like,
Oh yeah.
I mean, it is, there's many stories of readers to one reader, like being like, don't, luckily I have screenplays that I said to pass on that they made that weren't great movies, but I've never had a screenplay that I've passed on that has then won an Oscar or something. So.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's like extremely rare. Yeah. It's crazy.
Yeah, because it's really hard to make a good movie. It's really hard. There's so many elements come, and everybody always asks me, why are there so many bad movies? I get that, and that's how they say it.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and George Clooney famously said it's hard. You can make a bad movie out of a good script, but you can't make a good movie out of a bad script. And I love that because it's like the script can be there, and then all kinds of stuff can happen to make the movie bad. So
yeah, there's so many elements. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So if you've read the whole script in the first round, yeah, okay. Let's see if there's more questions. Total one chair turn on The Voice. That's Doug. That was.
Oh yeah,
really
exactly.
Totally, and then they go.
That's a good reference, yeah.
Right. Then they get saved in the save or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. It's really funny. So definitely this seems like a good. Oh, do you have a new media? Was that what it is, Ed? New media? Where are you? New media category?
Yeah. For that, it's called we call it the digital series competition, which is basically encompasses like new media, web series, that sort of thing.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, reality competitions are a really apt analogy. It's so true.
Yeah.
Saying, don't go see good films and say I want to make that. Go see bad films and say I don't want to make that.
Yeah.
The Hitchcock quote from Ed. Love it. So good. So you guys are so smart. So awesome. So yeah, I think we've covered. I think that's it. Unless anybody has anything else. So thanks for staying for 10 minutes. And
of course, yeah. Like I said, I'm having fun. So
yeah, it's great, right? They're contagious. In a good way, in a really good way.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, this would be great to do, weekly,
Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do. It's exactly what we do. So, and then we have guests come in. So like, for instance, you guys, next week, I believe Chelsea's going to come back and do a Facebook training. So how to create your Facebook page, how to run ads if you want to create ads to run things, how to do social media. She's our social media person. So one of the other things that we talk about, Sage, is that as a reader, you're an entrepreneur. You have to especially if you want to be a consultant for writers, we also have a whole coaching course of how to coach someone. So as a consultant, you're all about the script, like putting the script together. And as a coach, you're helping that writer like get those pages in. You're like the cheerleader and helping them figure out what their own blocks are. So we have a whole nother training that goes through that. And within that, we show people how to build their website or build Facebook ads or do all the social media marketing that they need to do and kind of how to.
Wow, that's great.
That's a whole other kind of arm. And then we have finished, which is having people finish a screenplay. So next week, last week I was at a conference with a website designer, and then she just reached out to me, and she had so much fun in here that she's like, I could come back and show them how to use Facebook. And I was like, if you want to, I'm sure they will.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah.
So I think you guys, she's going to come back in. She might even come in and what do you call it? So Doug is my partner in here, and he hosts as well, but she'd be like, instead of me. We might try that. I might do.
Oh, she would be running the whole thing.
Yeah, so you would a co-host, or what do you call that?
Co-host, yeah, that works.
Johnny Carson would step out, and Jay Leno would step in.
Yeah,
that's what we got. Yeah, no coronavirus. I knew that someone was going to make a coronavirus joke when I said.
Oh yeah.
Guest hosting, that's what it is. Yeah. So we're still kind of figuring out if that's how we want to do it, but because I'm heading to New York next week. But so definitely, one of the questions I thought of too was like, do you need volunteers at the festivals? So can they read and then come and volunteer? Do you need people to help out on the ground at the festival?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we definitely have, I mean, we rely on volunteers, you know, through the festival. Like they're an incredible, you know, help there. So yeah, I mean, if you want to read and like, you know, reading is another, I guess it is technically considered like, you know, volunteering in some capacity. So, I mean, that's how you know, get a badge, and we do the same thing with volunteers. Like they, you know, work to get badges. Yeah, you know, if you feel, you know, if you've gotten a badge already as a reader, like, and you do want to help out, you know, at the actual festival, that's definitely an option. And yeah, or you can, you know, just enjoy it. It's up to you.
Yeah, either one. Do we have, Paula, you're just outside of Austin, right? You're sort of local, right? Is anybody else local at Austin? I don't think so that I'm aware of. Yeah. So, but definitely, you know, do the Airbnb thing. You guys did that last year. It's a great, I just think it's such a good opportunity for everybody, and all. And I've known people that then have volunteered, and you came in as a volunteer, right? Didn't you say that?
Yeah.
And now he's all in.
All in. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. More like that. We're like hooked.
He's been hooked in. They
Can't
got him right where they want him. Totally.
Yeah.
But it's awesome. It's a great city. It's a great event. You're like really helping writers out. It's cool.
It is fun. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
You know what? And that's what the whole point. Like, we're supposed to have fun in life. So this is why we do
this.
Sure.
Yes. Have fun.
Absolutely.
Word of advice.
Totally. Cool. Well, thank you again for coming in. And I'm sure that you'll hear from our readers recommending new readers. So if you hear it's coming from Hollywood Screen Readers. So we have all of our free trainings we do in a Facebook group called Hollywood Gatekeepers. That's how we kind of let people know what is a reader, because a lot of people don't even know what that is. So we start convincing people that that's an actual thing, because people don't think it's a real thing. So we like, that's where we start. And then they go to the Hollywood Screen Readers, and that's what you have here. And these are the people that they're on it, and they're diving in, and they're learning how to do it and do it right. So,
okay. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. You know, feel free to email me, sage@austinfilmfestival.com, or you can email readers@austinfilmfestival.com. Either of those emails will work. So
cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And thanks, you guys. And we will see you next week, or Chelsea will see you next week. I'll let you know in the Facebook group. Cool. Thanks. You guys are the best. Thanks for coming out. And welcome to all the new members. We'll talk to you next week. Bye, guys. So good.